The 2021 Bronco is almost here. In fact, it looks like it's going to be just a couple of weeks away. Hi, my name is Eric. I make videos on future cars and the Bronco, so if that's interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe. There's a Discord chat down below too. Back in 2017, just about 3 years ago, Ford announced that they would be bringing the Bronco back to the market. So almost exactly 3 years later, now we're looking at a reveal in just a couple weeks. I wanted to get this news to you really quickly, so this is not going to be a fancy video with a lot of editing. Michael Martinez of Automotive News broke the story. So there was a meeting of the National Automotive Dealers Association in Vegas over the weekend, and Ford had their annual, I guess, branding meeting, their dealer meeting, not quite sure what to call it. And during that meeting, Ford revealed that the new Bronco is actually going to have 2 debuts. Now again, nothing is confirmed yet until Ford actually announces it. So again, take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but this information is coming from dealers who apparently are under NDA, but not everybody is going to obey the NDA. So here's what we have. The first debut is going to be the Bronco, the body-on-frame Bronco, the big one, the off-road version. That is going to be revealed at some point in March. We don't have an exact date yet, nor do we have a location. It could be Las Vegas, not entirely clear. So that's the first one. So this is going to be a standalone event. It's not associated with any auto show, and we expect to see the 2-door and the 4-door version. Then in April, we are expecting to see the debut of the baby Bronco, which now appears to be called the Bronco Sport, not the Maverick like was previously reported. So I would expect to see that sometime around the New York Auto Show, probably. That is in early April. The press days are April 7th and 9th. So I would expect to see probably another standalone event as well, like they did with the Mustang Mach-E. I would think maybe on April 6th or 5th, somewhere around there. Now the Bronco Sport is a little bit different than the full off-road body and frame Bronco. It is based on the Ford Explorer, so it's a crossover vehicle, off-road capable, a little bit smaller, probably a little bit more city-friendly as well. The big Bronco is based on the upcoming Ford Ranger. So with the name Maverick apparently being, I wouldn't say it's being retired, but it's not going to be used as the name for the vehicle, it could end up being a trim level, kind of like what Jeep does with the Wrangler and their line. They've got the Rubicon, which is a trim level. They got the Sahara. So I think that's probably where Maverick is going to be used in the Ford lineup. Again, Maverick is not a new name to the Ford lineup. They used it a couple times in the past. So we think we know when the reveals are going to be. What about production? When are you going to be able to buy the Bronco? That's what everybody really wants to know. So again, we have 2 separate launch dates for these. We don't have exact confirmation, but it appears that the Bronco Sport, the smaller Bronco, is going to be launched first, and Ford is expecting to have sales in 2020, so this year. That means we're going to have to see production starting sometime around the fall. Now the big Bronco is going to be announced, or rather made available to dealers a little bit later. You'll be able to buy it probably in 2021. They didn't put an exact time frame on it. I would expect probably in the first half of the year. What's really interesting to me though is how Ford is positioning the Bronco and how many of these they want to sell. So you know that the Jeep dominates in this class. In fact, I'll show the Jeep numbers in a second. But Ford wants to sell 200,000 Broncos in 2021. Now that's a combined number, but that's a pretty big number. And for comparison, Jeep sold about 923,000 in 2019. And in fact, in 2018, they sold 973,000. You can see going all the way back to 2012, they were selling about 470,000 a year, and the Jeep brand just keeps being more and more successful. Now, this isn't just Jeep Wranglers, this is across the entire Jeep brand, so that includes a lot of different vehicles, like the Grand Cherokee, for example. However, if Ford is targeting 200,000 vehicles, that means they're aiming to get about a quarter of the Jeep sales. Now, I don't know if Ford is trying to target conquest sales, or they're getting some people that would have bought the Jeep over to the Bronco. That's a possibility. Or they're trying to expand the market. Jeep has certainly been very successful with this market, and Ford clearly wants a part of it because Ford hasn't exactly had the best year financially. We're going to get to that in just a second. Month over month, Jeep has been selling a lot of Jeeps. In January, 58,000. They sold as many as 90,000 in Fiat Chrysler moved to quarterly reporting later in the year, so the numbers for the quarters are summed up in December and September. Now what's also interesting, I think following also in the Jeep model, is the aftermarket and the accessories. So you know that for a vehicle to be really successful long term, they've got to sell a lot of accessories. It has to have a healthy aftermarket. Toyota's doing this with the Supra, they're encouraging it. Ford has got a very healthy aftermarket with the Ford Mustang, for example. So what they want to do is have a lot of accessories available at launch, presumably for both separate vehicles. So that's pretty exciting. Ford obviously wants to capture a lot of these aftermarket sales themselves because that is a way of bringing up the profitability across the whole brand. Now, in order to push out 200,000 vehicles out to customers, they're going to have to sell these at a lot of dealers. So instead of having some dealers being certified to sell the Bronco, like with some high-end specialty vehicles, Ford is going to make the Bronco available across their entire dealer range, across all the dealers in the US. So that means you'll be able to get a Bronco at your local Ford dealer. So there were some comments on the last video about Ford's profitability and if they're going to survive. I'm not going to comment on that specifically because I'm not a financial analyst. However, in 2019, Ford did report a net loss in the last quarter of $1.7 billion. That's quite a bit. For 2021, Ford is actually going to have a very, very big year. They've got 3 major vehicle launches going on. They've got the Bronco, of course. There is also the revised F-150 that's coming out. And of course, what everybody has been talking about for a while is the Mustang Mach-E. So the Mustang Mach-E, I believe that they're targeting 40,000 units for sale. So the Bronco is actually targeted to be a really big vehicle for Ford. They're hoping to generate a lot of sales and a lot of profit with it. This should be probably one of the most important launches for Ford in a long time. Now there's 2 videos up on screen right now. One of them is in the Ford Bronco. I did a whole video on everything you need to know about the Bronco. It's going to be right over here. My name is Eric. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I will see you in the next one.